Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. My name is Brad Varnell. This is the Infinite Crypto YouTube channel. It is Monday morning, Labor Day here in the United States. Just want to thank all of you for being here. Looking forward to going over some information that I'm excited to share some of this with you. I had to learn a lot of this the hard way. Hopefully some of you have already figured it out, maybe without even having to watch today's show. But for those of you that maybe this might be the first time you've ever heard some of this stuff. And so I'm excited to share it with you real quick. Because it's Labor Day, it's a holiday weekend. I know we don't have quite as many people on the stream as normal. And so I do want to, knock this out and give you some valuable information and then let you go enjoy the rest of the day with your family. I know a lot of people have barbecues and special family time planned and stuff here. So we're going to try not to be on here for an hour today. We'll see how I do. But, it's not really in the title of the video, but probably the main point today that I really want to talk about is pain is unavoidable. Suffering is optional. And folks, the reason that we're talking about this today is because so many people are going through life and they're suffering in comfort. And what exactly does that mean? Well, folks, I think what has happened over the last, 100 years or so, our population has unfortunately, and fortunately, it's good in some ways too, don't get me wrong, but in some ways, unfortunately, the human beings have done whatever it took to make themselves more and more and more and more comfortable. And within reason, that's awesome. I mean, there's a lot of benefit to that. Folks, if you think about even just as in the recent past, 100, 150 years ago, people pretty much had to wake up in the morning and they spent all day figuring out how to survive. And that was just, back in the old West days, like if you're looking at 1875, yeah, they had a few creature comforts back then. They had structures, but for the most part, they didn't have running water still. They didn't have good electricity. And there was still, like if you wanted to take a bath, it was a huge ordeal to heat up the water and to take a bath. And, I remember hearing stories where families that had 3 or 4 or 5 kids, a lot of times, by the time the 4th or 5th kid got in there to take a bath, the water wasn't even cold anymore. And it was filthy because they couldn't change it out after every person and so on and so forth. So over the last 150 years, it's awesome in some ways that folks have figured out a way to be comfortable. The trouble is most people are suffering in comfort. And so once again, awareness is half the battle. What does that mean? Well, that means that, you've got a nice couch that you're sitting on. You've got a nice TV that you're watching. You got up this morning. You were probably able to take a nice hot shower or a warm, hot bath if you wanted to. You had food in your stomach and everything is good except for the fact that you're not happy. Most folks are going through life living a life of quiet desperation. They don't know why they're here on this earth. They are starting to wonder at 25, 35, 45 years old, is this all I have to look forward to for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years of my life? Is I get up and I go to work and I come home and I, drink a couple of beers, watch Netflix, go to bed, do it all over again. I'm here to tell you that if you are one of those people that is excited about Saturday rolling around, that's okay. I used to be excited for Saturdays too, but Saturday is not a special day of the week once you create some financial freedom in your life. And so most people have just done what they've been taught to do, are going through life thinking that they're doing what they're supposed to do, what the world, what society has conformed them to. And I'm here to tell you that most of us are living in comfort, but we're suffering. And once again, if I go back to pain is unavoidable, suffering is optional, what does that mean? Well, it means, folks, really, it's not a trick. It's not a trick. It's exactly what it says. Life is painful. There's going to be things in life that hurt, that are painful, and they're unavoidable. People die. People, unfortunately, will lie, cheat, and steal, and talk about you behind your back. You're going to lose jobs, or you're going to have an employer that goes out of business, and through no fault of your own, you're unemployed. There's, you're going to be driving down the street, and all of a sudden your transmission is going to fall out on your car. Now, I don't know about you guys, but most of the time, whenever I've had an emergency like that, where all of a sudden the transmission falls out of the car and it's a couple $1,000s, it's not normally when I'm sitting there with 25 grand in the bank and it's no big deal. For some people, they do have that luxury, but for a lot of people, it seems like a lot of these emergencies, these inconveniences in life, these painful things happen at the absolute worst timing. Well, once again, folks, it's going to be painful, but the suffering is optional. So many people start going through these painful things in life, and instead of understanding that it's just part of life, like once you understand that pain is just normal, it's a part of life, it happens to everybody, then you can start going, okay, yeah, this is a painful situation, but that's okay. Everybody's going through one right now. I guarantee you, I've got some painful situations that I'm going through right now, and I'm sure that you do too. Now, my painful situation might be in a different area of my life. I mean, we've got our finances, we've got our relationships, we've got our health, and we've got our jobs, we've got our church and our faith. There's a lot of different aspects of life. And maybe you're like really super killing it right now in finances, and I've got some pain going on in finances, or maybe I've got some pain going on with my health, but you're absolutely killing it in your health. That's awesome. But I guarantee you, just about every single person on this call has got some pain going on somewhere in their life. And what you got to decide is that you're going to get through the pain and that you're not going to suffer through the pain. We've all seen people that have been diagnosed with terminal illnesses, or that have just gotten a very, if you want to call it that, an unfair shake in life. And they still have an amazing attitude. They still have joy in their life. They still have a zest for life. They still wake up in the morning excited to be alive, even though they might have been told that they only have 6 months to live. And so, folks, suffering is optional. And if I'm just going to just pound that into your head, suffering is optional. So if you're at home today, if you're laying around suffering because of some pain that's going on in your life, folks, I'm telling you that is avoidable. You can quit suffering. You might not be able to stop the pain immediately, but you can quit suffering. And so, folks, I want to tell you a quick story that I heard at church yesterday that I thought was an amazing story. It's on topic, but I just love the story so much. I want to tell it whether it's on topic or not. But I do think that it does have, a point that goes along with today's topic pretty well. So there's this young man that through an unfortunate accident lost his whole left arm. He's only got one arm, and he ends up getting introduced to this judo master, and he decides that he's going to learn judo. And this judo master starts teaching him this one technique. And for a couple of weeks, he learns this technique. And then he says, judo master, hey, I think I'm doing pretty good at that technique. When can I learn something else? And the judo master says, no, we're going to continue to practice this technique. And then a couple of months goes by, and all he's done is practice this one technique. And he says, judo master, I really feel like I'm learning and I've got this down. I'm doing well. Please, don't go easy on me. Just because I've got one arm, please let me branch out and learn more judo. And the judo master tells him, no, patience, young man. We're going to continue to work on this technique. 2 years goes by, and this young man has only worked on this one technique, and he's really getting frustrated, and he wants to do other things, and he's complaining to the judo master, and the judo master says, hey, It's time for you to go participate in your first tournament. After this tournament is over, if you want to learn some new stuff, we're going to go ahead. We'll teach you some new stuff. And so they go to this judo tournament, and this young man destroys everybody. And he's getting ready to go into the final match to win the gold medal. And he asks his judo master, master, why am I doing so fantastic in this tournament? I only have one arm and I only know one technique. Why am I crushing everybody? And the judo master says, well, for one thing, the technique that you learned is the most complicated, hardest technique in all of judo to master. And number two, the only known defense against this technique is for your opponent to grab your left arm. And folks, I love that story, because so often in life, we look at our limitations. We look at the things that we don't have, and we use them as reasons to hold us back. On another quick note, I'll tell another fast story. Arnold Schwarzenegger. For those of you that are young, maybe he's not as popular with you, man, but I grew up, I'll never forget Conan the Barbarian. I'll never forget the Terminator movies. I'll never forget Arnold Schwarzenegger when he busted through into the movies. But you guys realize that everything that is exactly why we love him and know him and why he's a household name is exactly why everybody told him that he could never make it as an actor. Everybody told him that his name was way, way, way too long. They tried to talk him into changing his name, his last name, and shortening it up because it wouldn't fit on the movie screen. Couldn't pronounce it. And so they wanted him to get rid of his last name. And everybody told him that thick accent that he had, get on the chopper, that his accent was going to keep him from ever being successful in movies. And then last but not least, they all told him that, that he didn't have anywhere near the kind of physique that movie stars had. Back then, the movie stars were, the Cary Grants and the James Deans and the totally different genre of people. Yet it's said that when he got cast for the movie Terminator, James Cameron said, man, if we hadn't found you, Arnold, we would have had to build a robot to play the Terminator. And his famous accent, who in the world doesn't know the words, I'll be back? He's got some iconic lines in multiple movies. And the moral of the story is everything that everybody told him was why he couldn't succeed is exactly why he did succeed. It's exactly all of those things that they told him were going to keep him from being successful in the movies is why he became a successful movie star. And folks, it's like that with you. I promise you, everything that you think poorly about yourself when you wake up in the morning, I'm not good enough looking. Hey, folks, anybody, one more little story here. Anybody ever took a look at Danny DeVito? I mean, who in the world would think that this little 4'10", round, overweight, balding white guy had any possibility of being successful in TV and in the movies? Yet this little guy is full of charisma, full of energy, full of comedy. And he's played in some incredible movies. In fact, he came to my mind because I love the movie with him and Arnold Schwarzenegger, twins. But he also played in some incredible, I think it was a sitcom called Taxi way back in the 70s where he was super popular. And, and he's played in many, many movies. My wife and I, we love the television show Friends. He played in an episode of Friends. I want to say it was towards season 8 or season 9, maybe season 9. I think it was at Phoebe's bachelorette party, and so on and so forth, folks. But think about most of the people that that have had success in life. They all had reasons. They all had attributes. They all had things going into their life that seemingly would be obstacles to their success. And they just refused to quit. They refused to suffer in comfort. And so once again, let's go back to that. You've got a job. Your bills are paid. You got food on the table. You can go home and watch TV. You got air conditioning. You've got heat. You've got a newer car, but you're suffering in comfort. And most people, once again, awareness is half the battle. If you're suffering in comfort, but nobody puts it to you like that, you don't even realize half the time that you're suffering. So what is the answer? Well, folks, the answer is going to be different for everybody. But, you know, you guys have all seen, I mean, I'm going to try to do this super quick on this piece of paper here, but you guys have all seen a line like this, especially since we're cryptocurrency people. I mean, you guys have all seen a line like this in crypto. You know, this represents most of the cryptocurrencies that we are trying to invest in, right? We're trying to invest down here on this line, and then we're looking forward to this great, big, huge, straight up motion towards the end of the year. Well, the funny thing about this, folks, is this line very much illustrates a lot of people in life. Only unfortunately, for most people, it's the opposite. So when you live a life of suffering and comfort, you're actually living this line. This is you up here, suffering and comfort. And what's getting ready to happen, folks, when you're 35, 45, 55, 65, it's a little bit different for every single person. But what ends up happening is all of a sudden, this heads down. So what do I mean by that? If you're suffering and comfort in your health because you never exercise, you never put your body through any pain, you never go through any of the hard things with your body, then right now you're suffering and comfort. Everything's going along. You're looking great. You're feeling pretty good. All of a sudden you hit about 30 years old though, and pounds start coming on. You can't eat the same kind of food that you used to eat without gaining weight. And now all of a sudden you're 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds overweight. By the time you hit 50, 60 years old, you know, you've got type 2 diabetes and your health is headed down the gutter. Same thing financially. Right now, folks, some of you are 25, 35 years old. You're working a job, you feel like you're doing pretty good, but you know, you've got a couple of car payments, you got a mortgage payment, you got credit card payments. You're suffering in comfort. You're not saving any money. You're not doing the hard things. You're not sacrificing. You're not saying, hey, we're going to skip going out to dinner this week so that I can save and invest. Hey, we're going to drive a car that's 5 years old, but it's paid for so that we can take that $500, $600, $700 a month for our car payment and we're going to put it into investments and we're going to grow our investment. You're not living a life of delayed gratification. That's another word for it. You know, when you're suffering in comfort, you're doing everything that you want to do right now. And then what ends up happening is boom, you hit this downward trajectory and life goes to heck on you. And that's why I'm a firm believer that so many people are living in quiet desperation. If you're only 25, 30 years old, there's a relatively decent chance that you've still got some big goals and dreams and lofty aspirations. If you're watching this channel, there's a good chance that even if you're 45, 55, 65, that you've got dreams and goals and aspirations. But I'm telling you, every single one of us knows more people than we would care to admit that are living this life right here. We know what's in store for them. We can see it coming. And all I'm trying to do, folks, is to get you on this path. So how do you get on this path? Well, you start doing stuff like working out consistently and quit telling yourself that you're going to do it and don't. That's the worst thing in the world. I had to learn that. I promise you, folks, I would be willing to bet money that there's nobody watching this video today that has told themselves they were going to start working out on Monday, like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you know, somewhere in there. You're going to start working out on Monday. You want to have those, you know, cheat meals. You want to go to Olive Garden before you change your diet on Monday. And you want to, you know, go have a bunch of fun, but you're going to hit the gym on Monday morning. I promise you, not one of you on this call has said that to yourselves and then woke up on Monday and made a liar out of yourself more times than me. Nobody. Dozens and dozens and dozens and hundreds of times. I did not get this beautiful physique that I have because I stayed true to the promises that I made to myself when it came to my eating and when it came to, you know, when it came to my dieting. But I can tell you one thing, I'm on day 32 right now of day 75 hard. I just lost another 2 pounds last week, and I'm not being arrogant here. I'm not being egotistical, because I've done that before. And so I understand I've fallen into the pitfalls and gotten comfortable after 2 or 3 months of doing the right things. But I'm telling you, man, do hard things. Something else that is no fun at all, but I got to where I actually enjoy it to a certain extent. You see all of these people on the internet taking the ice baths, and you probably think they're crazy. But, I watched a video way back, probably 6 or 7 years ago now, where Tony Robbins was talking about cold water immersion and all of the benefits that it had on people's bodies. And then you watch these football players in the locker room after a football game taking these ice baths, and I started researching it. And I realized there was a lot of very good inherent benefits for cold water immersion. That, and I just, I felt challenged. There was a lot of people out there, successful people that I wanted to emulate, that were doing these cold water showers. At the time, I was just doing showers. And we're talking about, I was living in an area where the water was cold. I mean, like right now in Las Vegas, it's 100 degrees. It's hard to do too cold of a immersion in June, July, August. But tell you what, here in November, December, January, it's pretty cold. But I'm telling you, man, cold water immersion is something that everybody can do. And just, get in the shower for 5 minutes. And I promise you, you're going to be glad that you did. Go turn on some Metallica or some kind of music that gets you pumped up. I love listening to Rocky, Eye of the Tiger, when I'm doing my cold water immersions. Some people like to hop in the shower and take a real hot shower and get their body nice and warm, and then turn the water all the way down to cold. I just like to jump into it cold. I like to do my uncomfortable stuff first, and then I end with a nice warm shower. But some people really like the opposite. But, go find some cold water and force yourself to sit in it. Start off at 1 minute or 2 minutes, but work yourself up to 5 minutes. Because every time you do something that sucks, something that you hate, you're going to get out of the shower and you're going to be proud of yourself, and you're building this muscle of doing stuff that sucks. Go to the gym and just go. Like so many people, you have that resistance to going to the gym, but I guarantee you, everybody here that's ever done any gym going, there's never been one time where you fought with yourself, you hated every second of it, but you finally got yourself to the gym, and then when you got there, you had a great workout, and then at the end of the workout, you were like, man, I wish I didn't come today. It doesn't happen. It's the same thing with church. I can't tell you how many Sunday mornings I wake up and I can think of 100 reasons why I don't feel like doing church on Sunday. Yet I've never, ever, ever once in my whole life gone to a church service and by the end of it wished I hadn't have gone. And so, folks, your mind is designed to keep you comfortable. Your mind is designed to keep you safe. And comfort equals safety. Discomfort and pain equals fear and like uncertainty. And your brain is hardwired to try to keep you comfortable. And so the more that you can find small things to do that make you uncomfortable, do something out in public that you wouldn't normally do, something that's slightly embarrassing. My wife and I right now are doing our best to try to get pregnant. It took her years and years to get me on board. I'm 51. I thought, man, my oldest son just turned 18 last month in July. I'm like, we have our freedom. Why in the world would I want to have more children? A lot of that, though, was the uncomfortableness, the unknown. I never had any biological children of my own. My son and my daughter were about 6 and 9 years old when they came into my life, and I've adopted them. They're as much my kids as anybody's kids are their kids. But, I never had a biological child before. I've got some nieces and some nephews. So, yeah, I've spent time around baby. But the idea of raising this little tiny baby infant from the time that it was born, was a little scary, wondering if I was going to screw it up and this and that. And then, of course, there's when it really comes flat out to it, there was a lot of selfishness. Like I'm thinking, hey, our oldest son is 18 years old. finances are going to be pretty darn good by the end of this year. We're going to have the money to travel and do whatever we want to do. My wife's like, hey, we can travel with a baby. Hey, we just have a nanny. Hey, we just have this, we just have that. And then I saw, people like Brad Lee and Andy Elliott and even Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins had a baby in his mid to late 50s, not that long ago. I mean, I want to say he's around 60 or so now, but he had a baby when he was way older than I am. And he's loving every minute of it. And I don't know what the heck that has to do with anything that I'm talking about, but getting out of your comfort zone and doing things that are hard, you will start to build this muscle where you can do other things that are uncomfortable. I bet you that there's a handful of you watching this that have thought to yourself 100 times, man, I'd like to have a YouTube channel. I know many, many people come to me when they find out I'm a YouTuber and like, yeah, man, I want to do that. I've got an idea. I have an idea. I've had an idea. Like they literally have thought about doing a YouTube channel for years now. You know why they don't? Because the first time you turn on that camera and you start talking into it, it scares the crap out of you. And then even now, okay, are people going to say that I'm too, hungry for money? Are people going to say I'm too worried about this? Are people going to say, oh, he's a Christian, he's a Bible thumper, and start making fun of him for his Christianity? Like all of these different things still kind of come into my head at times, and I have to push through them and say, hey, I just don't care. My purpose on this earth is to do what God wants me to do and not worry about what the world thinks. And as long as I can stay true to that, then the people that are supposed to watch me and love me will. The people that are supposed to watch me and hate me will. Then the ones that just don't want anything to do with me, and so they quit watching me and ignore me, that's all part of it, no matter what we're doing in life. So I told you folks that we weren't going to spend an hour here today, and we've been about 35 minutes. So I'm going to come close to wrapping this up. But if you want to get out of your comfort zone, the number one way, and this isn't from me, this is from guys like Andy Frisella that were, the creator of 75 Hard, Ed Milet, one of my favorite guys on the planet. Most of the individuals that I know that have extreme amount of wealth and health and success have taken good care of their bodies. And one thing that they all are just about 100% in agreement on is that the best place to start, if you're living a life of quiet desperation and you want to pull yourself out and start having the life that you dream of, start with your health. It's one of the areas that you have the most control over, for one thing. When you start working on your finances, there's uncontrollable things in your finances. Maybe you're working at a job and you're kind of peaked at what you can make. And if you're in a bunch of debt and you're living, paycheck to paycheck, there's only so much that you can do to get yourself out of that financial situation. And don't get me wrong, we're going to get you out of that financial situation too. But it might take you 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 2 years to really make a lot of headway in that direction. But folks, you can literally flip around and change some of the things that you're doing for your health. Move your body. They say motion creates emotion. Motion creates emotion. And you can literally right now, as soon as this video is over, right now, while this video is going, you could do something that creates motion. I don't know if you've ever heard this, guy, but that if you just do the Superman pose, where he stands up and he puts his hands on his hips and he, pulls his shoulders back and sticks his chest out and you just smile real big. It's been said that if you do this, you hold this pose for 2 minutes, that your body starts to release all sorts of good chemicals and endorphins, and that you can literally go. It's impossible to be in a bad mood after a couple of minutes of holding this position. So literally just stand up and stand there like Superman with your chest puffed out and a big smile on your face. And just that quickly, folks, you can start to change the chemistry in your body. But I'm telling you, most of my best ideas come when I'm working out. There's something else about when you're working out and you're pushing your body hard, that you are more creative. Your creative juices start flowing. You're going to come up with more answers to some of the solutions that you're trying to figure out. Maybe you've got a business idea. You're trying to figure out how to get it off the ground, and you can't quite, it's just like you've got this plan and it's formulating, it's gurgulating, it's percolating like a coffee pot in the morning, but you just can't put your finger on that one thing that's missing. And all of a sudden you'll be sitting there bench pressing, and all of a sudden this idea will pop in your head. You'd be like, about halfway up with the bench press going, hey, where did that come from? Trying to get this weight up, and I got this great idea. So not only will working on your fitness and your health, have tremendous benefits body-wise, but it's also one of the quickest ways to get your minds right. In fact, there's a gentleman out there, a lot of people hate him and a lot of people love him, but his name is Andy Elliott, and he requires his company, the people that work in his company, he requires them to have a six-pack. If you come to work for his company and you don't have a six-pack, you got 6 months to get one. And there was a time, David Goggins is famous. David Goggins was talking to this guy that was overweight and out of shape and just negative and grumpy and complaining about the world. And Goggins told him, hey, you need to work out. You need to get yourself a six-pack, and then you're going to be happy. And the guy told him, you know what? You're full of crap, David. Having a six-pack is not going to change my life. It's not going to make me happy. And then this guy set out to prove it. He went out and started putting in the work to prove that he could have a six-pack, and that David Goggins was wrong, that he could have a six-pack and he'd still be miserable. Well, guess what? He got the six-pack and he wasn't miserable anymore. He was happier than he'd ever been in his life, and he had to go tell David Goggins, hey, man, you were right. So no matter what, whether it's your health or your finances or your faith or your relationship with your wife and your kids or whatever's going on in your life, I'm here to tell you, folks, and I see it in my own life. I'm down, I think it's day 32 or 33 now on 75 hard. It literally took 1 or 2 days, and I was like, oh my God, I feel so much better. Why do I ever quit? Like literally, guys, I've done this. One time I messed it up on day 42. So then I had to do another 75 days. So like 117 days that I did everything on the 75 hard program, including working out twice a day. So people say, well, that's not sustainable. Well, I say, well, why not? Like if I could do it for 117 days, why couldn't I do it for the rest of my life? But my point is, folks, I've never felt better. Even though I still got, I think I'm down to 247.8 today. So overall, I'm down about 10 pounds from when I started. In the last month, 32, 33 days, I've lost about 10 pounds. But I'm happier when I'm doing this than I ever am. And man, drinking a gallon of water, working out twice, doing all of those things. And it takes a lot of time. And I'm busy. I'm trying to run a business here, trying to grow this YouTube channel and create sponsorships and make income so that I can invest in crypto and so on and so forth. But I'm telling you, the 2 45-minute workouts and then reading 10 pages a day and a good book, all of the stuff that I do for 75 hard is life-changing. And so with that, folks, maybe some of you are sitting there and you're not real out of shape, but maybe you're not in great shape either. Like maybe some of you aren't overweight, but if you had to go run a mile, you'd be dying after the first lap. Well, that's not in shape. I mean, if you can't go do any strenuous exercise without huffing and puffing and bending over, I don't care if you're 6 feet tall and 150 pounds. If you can't exercise, you can't do some pull-ups, you can't go run, you can't swim, all of that without being out of breath and totally hating life within 30 or 40 seconds. That's not being in shape, folks. And so I would implore all of you to maybe consider doing something to get yourself in shape. And then last but not least, don't go crazy. If you haven't been in the gym for 10 years, don't go to the gym and work out for an hour today, because that's the surest way to make sure that you don't work out again for another 10 years, because tomorrow and the next day, you're going to be so sore. Everything's going to hurt. You're barely going to be able to walk. You're going to be hating life. Like I recommend, if you haven't been to the gym in 5 or 10 years, I recommend don't go get a gym membership. Just get down on your floor and do a few push-ups. 2, 3, 4, 5 push-ups. You'd be amazed if you just go get 2, 3, 4, 5 push-ups done every single day. All of a sudden, you're going to be down there on the floor and you're going to be like, well, I already did 5 push-ups. I might as well do a few more since I'm down here. You know, take a walk, 15 minutes. If you haven't done any strenuous exercise, if you're out of shape, just go take a walk for 15 minutes, folks. And I'm telling you, if you listen to some great music or you listen to, some Ed Milet or some Brad Varnell from the Infinite Crypto YouTube channel while you're on your walks, you can get a double dose of positivity and endorphins running through your body. I also really recommend don't take a phone at all. Don't take any electronics. Just go out and enjoy the nature. Go look at the flowers in your neighborhood, see the trees, hear the sounds, but just get started slow. Like, it's not a marathon, it's not a sprint. It is a marathon. We're not looking to take the last 5 or 10 or 20 or 30 years of unhealthiness and flip it around and change it in the next week or month or 6 months even. You're just slowly creating new lifestyles, new things that you do that benefit you, that start taking you on this upward spiral. If you start walking here and doing a few push-ups here, all of a sudden, folks, you might be the next guy to run a marathon or to do a triathlon. There's this young man in my circle, a guy named Tyler Glennon, that I have so much respect for, that over the last couple of years has started small, but now he's doing triathlons. And he's even got me at 51 years old. I think to myself, how cool would it be to do a triathlon? I don't even know exactly what it is. I know you run, I know you bike, and I know you swim. And I think it's like a 2-mile swim and a 50, 60-mile bike ride. And then I think you run a marathon. I think you do a 26-mile run at the end of it. And he's literally got me. I'm the guy, folks, no kidding. I've told this story a bunch of times in my life. When people start talking about running and jogging and blah, 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 I'll be the guy at the party that's like, hey, if you ever see me running, you might want to follow me because I got a reason. There's a bear chasing me. There's something going on in my life that's got me headed in the wrong direction. Like, I don't run. And, but seriously, this kid, I think he's 25 now or something like that, but I know there's older guys doing it. There's a guy named Dan Martelli, I want to say, that does these triathlons. They actually got me thinking about like pushing my limits and what can I do in life? And you say, Brad, shut up about working out already. What has that got to do with anything? Well, I'm telling you, I very much believe that my ability to have the discipline to get into good enough shape to do something like a triathlon also translates over into the discipline and my ability to do the things that I need to do on a daily basis to continue to grow this YouTube channel and to be successful in my cryptocurrency investing. Like, if you can't literally get up off your couch long enough to do a few push-ups and take a 15-minute walk, how are you going to have the discipline when it comes to your money to do the right things with your money? How are you going to have the discipline when you get paid on Friday and you know that you should take that extra $100 and buy some Polkadot with it, or buy some Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever cryptocurrency you're excited about? You know that by putting that $100 away right now, that you're probably making yourself $1,000 or more in 6 months, yet that pizza that you want just sounds awfully good. Oh, hey, my wife and I, we worked hard all week long. We deserve to go out to eat tonight and treat ourselves. And so you go blow that $100 on a couple of steaks and a glass of wine. And folks, once again, the couple of steaks and the glass of wine, they feel good right here. They don't feel so good in 6 months or a year, when the economy is even worse than it is right now, when inflation is even worse than it is right now, and all of a sudden you ain't going and having steak and wine anymore because you can't afford it, because you wanted to go have it today when all you had to do was put that $100 away, and 6 months from now you'd be experiencing that upward trend. Instead, you didn't do it, so now you're experiencing that downward trend. I'm telling you, if you can start disciplining yourself with what you eat and how you treat your body, that is going to overflow into all of the other areas of your life. And so with that, folks, I still ended up going for 49 minutes minus the countdown, 39 minutes. I love you all. I'm looking very, very much forward to Wednesday's live stream. We got some really exciting cryptocurrencies that we are bringing to the table, folks. I'm telling you, my son Joshua has been spending 2, 4, 6, 8 hours a day on some days on CoinGecko, researching projects, looking at teams, looking at tokenomics, looking for things that we can bring to you, trying to find the next big cryptocurrency, real world asset, an AI project, things that are going to pump our bags by 25, 50, 100, 1,000x. And we've got some exciting tokens that we're looking forward to sharing with you on Wednesday. This is not a sponsor of the channel, but we are doing some branding here. So for those of you that haven't done it yet, go download this code app. It is pretty awesome. We're going to start using this code app. So instead of doing super chats where, YouTube folks takes 30% of the super chats, and I'm not complaining, but when you guys do a super chat like Tim, I wanted to say thank you, Tim. I hope you are still here. I didn't notice the super chat that you did last week. My son says that I mentioned it, but I don't remember mentioning it. And after we got off the stream, I saw that you did a $20 super chat, and I just wanted to thank you from the bottom of my heart, man. I appreciate that so much. And I still love you guys, and I want you guys to do them, but I just think it's crazy that Tim, tipped me $20, and YouTube thought they deserved 6 of it. And I mean, that's still cool. Like the $14 that I get to keep is awesome, and it's appreciated. I don't want you guys to not do a super chat just because YouTube gets a chunk. But with this, I get 100% of the money. And just since we did this little interview and started promoting this project, I've gotten $50 worth of tips from people inside this kin economy. And so we're going to continue to promote kin. I think it's an incredible project. It's community driven. So they're not paying me 1 penny to do any videos. They're not paying me for any of this, but I do have the ability, if their community appreciates the time and the effort that I'm spending on talking about them, they do have the ability to tip. And that $50, folks, the most that I got tipped at one time was $10. Most of the tips are $1 here, $2 there, but it adds up. And guess what? I'm not spending it because I think that kin can do a 10, 20, 50, 100x. So that $50, if kin does 100x in the next 6 months, is actually $5,000 that folks have tipped me. So we are going to continue to share the kin. We'll probably talk about it some more on Wednesday. But those of you that haven't done it yet, go get this app downloaded and then shoot me a message and give me, see how, you've got the getcode.com download. And then when I did my link up here this morning, you can see right here, this is my tip card, /CryptoBradV. If you connect your code wallet to your Twitter account, then you're going to get a link like this, and then you can send that to me so that I can tip you guys too. Because it's so often on this channel, like, you guys will bring a project to me that I really love and that I get excited about. And now I've got a way where I can tip you guys, where when you guys do something that I appreciate, I can tip you guys. And so I just think it's a really cool app and a really cool movement that I think is going to go big places during this bull market. And I think this type of thing is going to have some mass adoption. So with that, folks, enjoy the rest of your day. God bless you all, and we will see you on Wednesday. Take care.